Welcome, everyone. Today, we're going to tackle the absolutely epic story of Germany. It's this incredible journey. Think about it. From scattered tribes to warring empires, then through total collapse, and finally, a stunning reinvention that literally redefined the heart of Europe.
So, the big question is, how did that happen? How did a land of scattered tribes become the economic engine of Europe? Well, to really get it, we've got to go way, way back. Back to a time before Germany was even a word, really.
Okay, so chapter 1 of our story starts with the very first identity of these German lands. It's all about migration, about this fierce tribal independence, and then this inevitable, fateful collision with the ancient world's one and only superpower, Rome.
So, for centuries, you have to picture this place as just a land of dense forests and scattered independent tribes. These were people who'd migrated down from Scandinavia, right? Pushing south, forging their own unique culture north of the Rhine and Danube rivers. And then, bam, the unstoppable Roman Empire shows up right on their doorstep.
And this was a huge turning point. In this absolutely devastating ambush in the Teutoburg Forest, Germanic tribes managed to wipe out 3 entire Roman legions. Can you imagine? The shock of this defeat was so massive that Rome basically said, okay, that's it. They just abandoned their plans for conquest. And just like that, the Rhine and Danube rivers became the hard border of their world, a line in the sand that would shape Europe for centuries to come.
But, that separation couldn't last forever. When Rome eventually fell, it created this massive power vacuum. And right from those ashes, we see the very first attempt at creating a unified German-speaking state.
So after Rome's collapse, this Germanic tribe called the Franks really starts to take over. And their greatest king, a guy named Charlemagne, he forges this massive new empire all across Western Europe. Then, in 800 AD, the Pope crowns him emperor. This was huge. It was like he was symbolically bringing back the old Roman ideal, but this time he was laying the groundwork for a new empire with a German-speaking heart.
But the thing is, empires built by one great leader rarely outlast him, right? And sure enough, after Charlemagne died, his grandson split up his huge territory. And right here, in this split, you can literally see the seeds of modern Europe being planted. The western part, that eventually becomes France. But the eastern part, East Francia, well, that becomes the core of what we'd one day call Germany.
But that unity, it was incredibly fragile. The next whole era wasn't about building a single empire at all. Instead, it was defined by these deep, deep divisions over faith and power that would just tear the German lands apart.
And it all kicked off with a dispute over religion. In 1517, this German monk, Martin Luther, stands up and challenges the authority of the Catholic Church. His ideas, which spread like wildfire thanks to the new printing press, sparked what we now call the Protestant Reformation. It was a religious revolution that literally split the Holy Roman Empire right down the middle.
Well, eventually, those religious tensions just boiled over into the 30 Years' War. And this was an absolute catastrophe for the German lands. That number, 8 million, that's the estimated number of lives lost to fighting, to starvation, to disease. It was, no joke, one of the most devastating conflicts in human history. It left parts of Germany completely shattered for generations.
And out of all that devastation, the old fractured empire was replaced by a totally new reality, a rivalry between 2 major German powers. So in the south, you've got the sprawling, multi-ethnic Austrian Empire, the old-school Catholic power. But up in the north, a new force was on the rise, Prussia, super disciplined, militaristic, and Protestant. And their fight for who would be top dog, well, that was going to define Germany's entire future.
Now, the dream of a single German nation, that was a powerful idea. But it wasn't going to happen by people sitting around a table and talking. No way. It was going to take some serious political genius and a series of very calculated wars to make it real. And the guy who made it happen was this brilliant Prussian statesman, Otto von Bismarck. Now, Bismarck, he wasn't a dreamer. He was a master of political chess. He had this ruthless 3-step plan. Step 1, fight a war with Denmark to secure the north. Step 2, fight a war with Austria to basically kick them out of German business for good. And finally, Step 3, provoke a war with France to scare the southern German states into joining him. It was brutal, it was calculated, and it absolutely worked.
So with France defeated, the final step was taken. And talk about symbolism.
In a moment of just supreme triumph, the German princes all gather together, not in Germany, but in the Hall of Mirrors at the Palace of Versailles, the home of their defeated enemy, to declare a brand new, unified German empire, with the Prussian king as its emperor.
So now we have this new empire, and it's an industrial and military giant. But its ambition, this restless desire for global power, well, it would lead to a disaster on a scale nobody had ever seen before, and it would lead to another, even deeper, split of the German nation.
This timeline here, it just shows this incredibly rapid descent into total catastrophe. I mean, in just over 30 years, Germany's ambition plunges it into World War I, its defeat, and the humiliating Treaty of Versailles that came after it directly fueled the anger that let the Nazi Party rise to power. And that, of course, led to World War II and ultimately to Germany's complete and total collapse and occupation.
After the war, Germany as we knew it just ceased to exist. The Allies, the winners, they divided it up. And as the Cold War got going, that division became permanent. So you ended up with two Germanys. A democratic, capitalist West Germany aligned with the US and Europe, and a repressive, communist East Germany aligned with the Soviet Union. A nation literally torn in two by the Iron Curtain.
But that division, that wasn't the end of the story. Not by a long shot. Our final chapter is all about how this nation, torn in two right on the front lines of the Cold War, somehow found its way back to unity and forged a completely new identity for itself.
For decades, the Berlin Wall was it, the ultimate symbol of that division. But then, in 1989, after months and months of peaceful protests all across East Germany, the government finally cracked. On this one historic night, the wall came down, and its fall wasn't just the end of Germany's division, it was pretty much the end of the Cold War.
And believe it or not, in less than a year, Germany was officially one country again. From that moment on, it started this incredible economic journey. It took on the huge cost of reunification and transformed itself into the economic powerhouse of Europe. Today, it's a global leader in engineering and industry and just a central player on the world stage.
So when you look at the whole thing, Germany's story is just one of profound transformation. I mean, think about it, from scattered tribes to a continental empire, to the absolute darkest tragedies of the 20th century, to a nation literally walled off from itself. Germany's path has been this constant and often agonizing process of reinvention, which kind of leaves us with a final big question. What can a nation that has been so completely broken and then rebuilt from scratch, what can that teach the rest of us about our own capacity for change?